Appreciate what of a miracle we just lived through. A series of events, not born out of the divine intervention that we saw on July 13th, but incorporated that. Trump won the effing election, people. This is the next chapter of the next book. Yes, we understand that. But he won the election with the coalition that he amassed after surviving an assassination attempt that he, by all statistical odds, was not supposed to survive, set into action a series of events that got a series of players working together to defeat the Democrat demonic machine. And understand what was defeated here. My wife woke up this morning and she says, Viva, Dave, I saw your tweet, but it was more than a miracle. It was a miracle and hard work, teamwork, endless effort put in by countless people. And let's just, you go with the biggest players in all of this. You got your Tucker Carlson, but he was already there. He was already a voice of the people. You got Donald Trump. He names JD Vance VP, but after the assassination attempt. You have that miracle, which we all witnessed with our own two eyes, and some people still refuse to acknowledge that it was in fact according to Hoyle, miracle. And then you get the unification of RFK Jr. and Donald Trump. Throughout the series of events, Elon Musk realizes, this democrat machine is out for keeps. They're out to put people down in every sense of the word. Put them down legally, put them down financially, and put them down physically. And Elon Musk lives through some of that lawfare. Elon Musk experiences some of that Democrat peace, love, joy, and tolerance. And he's like, if Trump doesn't win this election, we don't have a free America anymore. At some point, Elon realizes what the plan is in terms of the open border. The open border immigration to voting is the exact same thing as the lockdown ballots to elections was. Designed to be exploited so that then it can be used and weaponized in future elections. Mail-in voting to elections is what open borders is to immigration to elections. Elon Musk understands that. Donald Trump survives by the breath of God, coalesces with RFK Jr. Vivek Ramaswamy, who had been in there from day one, hitting campuses, opening eyes. Tulsi Gabbard comes in. Other Dems come in. And all of that happening together because of a miracle of a survival. And then you get your Dan Bonginos who have been doing work that cannot be measured. You can't put a price tag on it. Bongino, day in and day out, amassing his Bongino army, mobilizing them, because it doesn't do any good having an army that's not mobilized. Mobilizes them for action, for surveillance, for making sure that there's no chicanery, for getting 10 people out to vote. You get your Scott Pressler up in Pennsylvania. His feet must have been bleeding. Steve Bannon getting out of jail just in time. They locked up Steve Bannon for the 4 months leading up to the election. The media ran 90% negative coverage of Trump, 90% favorable coverage of cackling commie Kamala. Despite all of that, despite the fact that they physically tried to blow his head off in HD, not once but twice, and maybe even more than that. Despite all of that, he freaking wins in a decisive victory. Despite all of that, it's a miracle, and God gave the people that miracle for them to work with. And people worked with that miracle. And God gave them that miracle, and the people who had the courage to work with that miracle to put it on the ballot. And yesterday, 73 million people voted for that miracle. 71 million, sorry. I put out my wish list. I said, overwhelming and decisive victory was the last chapter of this book and the first chapter of the next. Now, election reform, full investigation. The 2020 election, if anyone had any lingering doubt how fortified up the wazoo it was, I'll show you a number. It's just going to blow your freaking mind. Full investigations into 2020 criminal prosecution, voter ID laws, same-day results, period, end of story. Border reform. Shut the border, deport illegals with criminal histories, because I think most people at least can agree on that. Full investigation into the dereliction of duty, Mayorkas, impeach, and then maybe jail. Criminal prosecutions of everyone responsible. COVID jab investigations, full investigations. Lock them up. Fauci, I'm looking at you. And you better be looking in the mirror right now. Judicial political reckoning is very much on the way. January 6th, investigations. Let's get to the pipe bomb there. Let's get to the bottom of that pipe bomb. Let's release all of the video. And then, by the way, did I say full pardons? I did. Pardon all of the Jan 6 defendants. You want to know where there's been an evolution for Viva here? I've had an evolution. At one point I said, yeah, pardon every non-violent offender. Too late now. I say even the violent ones have been punished enough, and then even more so. I got a text from Jake Lang I get a text from Jake Lang, one of the Jan 6 prisoners. I know some of you don't like him because he engaged in actual violence, and he says it was self-defense from a tyrannical government that was unleashing rubber bullets, pepper spray on innocent women and protesters. There were violent people in there. Had you treated them fairly, we wouldn't be having this discussion, but you didn't. You overplayed your hand, all of them. Pardons, blanket pardons. And then we go into censorship, FCC violations, CBS. You lose your licenses, CBS. You're done. Right to jail. Release the Epstein client list. Prosecute all of them. Ukraine funding audited. Someone I'm friends with on the internet says, I thought billionaires would be happy to pay into a social safety net. And I'm like, when you can't account for trillions of dollars, you have too much money in your coffers already. Do an audit and account for the money that you're already stealing out of our back pockets. And if you've lost trillions of dollars, you have too much money in the first place. You don't need more tax dollars for a safety net. Quit squandering, siphoning, laundering the money that you already steal from us. Public health crisis, we get RFK Jr. on that. So that's where we're at right now. Transition, let's see if they try to spy on Donald Trump again. Let's see if they have a peaceful transfer of power, which they never had the first time. You understand the numbers? Do you understand the numbers? You want to talk about media collusion? This jackass, Luke the Puke Zaleski, legal affairs editor, Condé Nast, GQ magazine, head of fact checking. He's been putting out every day for the last 3 freaking years. Never forget how bad it was. Oh my God, January 6th, my insurrection. This idiot puts out this montage and doesn't understand the point that he's actually proving by accident. It's called Operation Mockingbird, you jackass Luke. Oh, it was so much worse than you were. No, it wasn't worse than I remember. It was actually not as bad as you manufactured in your TDS deluded head. It was so much worse. Look at all of the media, almost in tandem, simultaneously running the same stupid ass headlines. Oh my goodness, Trump mob storms Capitol. Washington Post, Star Tribune, insurrection. Arizona Republic, pro-Trump mob invades Capitol. New York News Tribune, under attack, democracy attack. Trump incited mob storms Capitol. Intolerable attack on democracy. Assault on democracy. Oh my, insurrection, under siege. It was such an insurrection under siege that by 8 o'clock that night, they reconvened to certify the vote. It's amazing. This idiot doesn't understand that he's proving the collusion, the media collaboration to run headline after headline against Donald Trump, and despite all of it, a decisive freaking victory against these demons. It's unbelievable. And now people might want to be understanding what exactly happened in 2020. Democrat popular vote, we're in the 65 million. The numbers I have are a little different. This is probably tinkered with for impact. Republican popular vote. Oh, look at this. 65 million, give or take. 65 million, give or take. 81 million votes for Joe Biden, give or take. And then we're back to 66 million for Kamala Harris. I went there. I wanted to check this out. Trust but verify. Zero Hedge. They've made some mistakes, but they're good. I like them. And anybody who has Tyler Durden as their avatar is already in my good books. I just went back and double checked. 2008, the first black president of these United States of America, who happens to be half black and half white, raised by his white mother. But I mean, identity becomes everything, right? When you can bank on it. The first black president mobilizes more hope and change than anybody on earth. He got 69 million votes in 2008. Yeah, by 2012, people were a little bit not enamored with hope and change himself, Mr. Drone strike killing American citizens, sicking the IRS on your political adversaries, running guns into Mexican cartels and leading to the murder of border agents. I don't know if all that happened in his first 4 years, but after 4 years, people were a little less enthused with Mr. Hope and Change. He got 65 million in 2012. So 69 million when the world is rejoicing. 65 million after that. Hillary, when she lost the popular vote to Trump, got 65 million. Joe Biden, a man who is as bland as toast. He was not yet quite that demented in 2020. He got 81 million votes. 81 million, allegedly. And then look at that, Kamal, we're back to 65 million. Do you notice a trend? 69, 65, 65, 66, 81 million. That is 16 million more than the baseline average. That is 16 million. 32. That is 25% more in 2020 than every prior year for the last 3 cycles and the one immediately following it. That is, it's not, this is not a statistical anomaly that can be explained by COVID. This is a statistical anomaly that is now clearly explained by cheating. They cheated, period, full stop, if only because of the censorship. But this is concrete evidence they just cheated. And when they mailed out ballots to everybody. Ballots are currency. When I had Mark Robert on Monday, ballots are gold. You're mailing gold to everybody. You are mailing something with a market value to everybody. And they go and collect them, and they harvest them, and they keep them there. And when they needed them, when they knew the number that they needed in order to bet, although it seems like they went a little overboard, they had millions upon millions of ballots to draw from. And did they do any meaningful signature checks in the only state where there was a contestation on the merits, Georgia? No, they didn't. And anybody who tells you that they did a signature verification in Georgia is either a liar or an idiot. Counting what you already counted is not an audit. It's not a signature verification. They never did the required signature verification in Georgia because that would have revealed the problem. Having a bit of a back and forth, not even a disagreement with Roseanne Barr retweeted me, and I love it. And I would love to have Roseanne Barr on the channel or an interview. But they say like there was so much cheating back in 2020. And I say, yes. But the ballot harvesting was the cheat. The Dominion, as far as I'm concerned, was the red herring used to entrap people, used to discredit people, and used as the lawfare to silence bankrupt Giuliani, Sidney Powell, because people did make objective mistakes, but that was the red herring. That was not where the actual fraud was. People ran with it. They got discredited and they got sued into oblivion. And then Fox News coming in with their $787 million settlement. Partaking in the money laundering scheme, because Fox, as far as I'm concerned, was pretty much in on it, at least a willing player in it. So they used the Dominion voting red herring to distract from the actual fraud that occurred in 2020. And it's plain for the eyes to see now. 69, 65, 65, 81, 66. Yeah. If you believe that that's organic, and if you believe that that's only explained because it was easier for people to vote, horse crap, because it was pretty much as easy this time, except they weren't just mailing ballots willy-nilly by the millions to everyone. Everyone was indefinitely confined. Everybody could vote by ballots. They could go to nursing homes and get grandma, hold the pen in demented old Jimmy Carter's hand. Hey, you voted for the first black woman. Good for you. No, they couldn't do that this time like they did it in 2020. That is a long-winded way to say, can you believe the miracle that we lived through? God helps those who help themselves. I'm told it's not from the Bible, but I love it. On the one hand, God will not help you if you sit idly by and sit on your hands and hope that God helps you. When you get out there and you bust your ass and you work and you take advantage of what God gave you to work with, then God will help you. And we had a miracle by the grace of God. And everybody should also remember, Corey Comparator couldn't vote yesterday. Corey Comparator was killed as a result of what happened on July 13th. Copenhagen, Dutch, grievously wounded. Like we say, this is a miracle. There's no alleviating the tragedy and the loss. That is, and there's no vindication of it, but it was not in vain and it was not for nothing. They actually, and I'm saying uniparty, deep state that did not want to see Trump come to power, does not want Trump releasing the Epstein list. They tried to kill him. And in so doing, they killed Corey Comparator and they shot 2 other people. He wasn't there yesterday to vote, but millions of other people voted. People took advantage of the miracle, the tools that by the grace of God were given to them. You had the coalition of people working tirelessly day in and day out, and they defeated all elements of that evil scheming plan. I can forgive and even, have no issue with innocent, good, well-meaning Kamala supporters. The powers that be and the tools and the people that were pulling the strings are not well-meaning and they are not good-natured. They took advantage of people's stupidity. They took advantage of people's ignorance. They took advantage of their levers on the power to try to manipulate, extort, coerce, and kill their way into power.